Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Will Scott here after a eventful playoff weekend in the National Football League. Still one more game to go with the Buccaneers and Cowboys game tonight. And we did receive some big news this morning before that game that's NFL draft related. CJ Stroud has officially declared for the 2023 NFL draft. The Ohio State quarterback waiting until the last minute, deadline day, to officially declare. I think a lot of Buckeyes fans were hopeful that maybe he's waiting so long because he might come back, but he is going to enter the NFL draft. Probably going to be the second quarterback taken behind Bryce Young following an amazing season, over 3,300 yards, 37 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he ends his collegiate career, sure, with the loss to Georgia, but that was a fantastic performance for Stroud in that game, really upping his NFL draft stock. And speaking of the draft, on today's show, we are going to get you Todd McShay's latest big board, breaking down the top 32 prospects in this class. And we do begin with the quarterback. It is Bryce Young out of Alabama. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the Chicago Bears do, because I feel like teams like the Colts, maybe the Raiders, they're going to be interested in trading into the number one spot because they really need a quarterback. And Bryce Young, I think, is by far the best guy to take if you're looking for a quarterback. I think Stroud is also a really good alternative, but Bryce Young, man, he just has the it factor. A lot of fun to watch him throughout his career at Alabama. But if the Bears do not go quarterback, which they won't, or don't trade out of that number one spot, maybe they go Will Anderson, the linebacker out of Alabama. And on Todd McShay's last big board last month, Will Anderson was number one, Bryce Young was number two. They have since flipped. Will Anderson, the best defensive prospect in this class, had 10 sacks this past season at Alabama. Jalen Carter, meanwhile, he is number three on the big board, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. He declared the day after winning his second national championship, and he battled some injuries this season after returning from a knee injury, though he made a really big impact, finishing the season with 37 tackles, 6 tackles for a loss. I really like Jalen Carter. I think if the Bears do not trade out of that number one spot, he's got a shot to be the number one overall pick. And then C.J. Stroud. I think a lot of Houston Texans fans breathing a sigh of relief that C.J. Stroud might be their quarterback and maybe not a guy like Will Levis. So C.J. Stroud, pretty clearly, he's going to be QB2 here in this draft. Certainly going to get a lot of interest. Maybe the Raiders are a dark horse team to watch if the Texans end up with Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud falls a couple spots there to Vegas. But again, that in performance against Georgia, 4 touchdown passes in the playoff semifinal, was great to see him also kind of use his mobility in that game. Who's going to be the number one pick in the 2023 NFL draft? Go down in the comments section. Let me know. The Texans hadn't blown it and have kept their number one pick, it would be Bryce Young. But there's a lot of unpredictability right now. Who's going to be the number one pick? I think if the Bears don't trade out of that spot, it will be Will Anderson. But I think the Colts are going to trade into the number one overall spot and take Bryce Young. I would expect that to happen. Let's talk about Tyree Wilson. He's continuing to move up McShay's big board here. Now at number 5. 36 pressures this season. A&M transfer had 7 sacks, 73 tackles. He's a really talented defensive end. The best offensive lineman in this draft, I think we can all agree that it's Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. Had a lot of hype coming into this season, declared for the draft a few weeks ago. Probably going to be the number one offensive lineman off the board, and I think he's a surefire top 10 pick. Myles Murphy, this is a guy that had a really good career at Clemson. He's a nightmare if you're an opposing quarterback. He's going to get I would expect him to be a lock to be a top 10 pick, quite frankly. And then his teammate, Brian Breesy, another guy that comes in top 10 here on the big board. He also might be a top 10 pick. He's moved up Todd McShay's big board here in the coming, or I should say in the last couple of weeks. We're very close to reaching our next milestone here on our Chat Sports main channel, almost at 326,000 subscribers. Go down and subscribe to the channel. Need about 400 more. We're continuing to grow here at Chat Sports. We appreciate you all watching. Go down and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're going to have you covered with all draft content leading up to April's NFL draft. I think the best running back in this class is no doubt Bijan Robinson out of Texas. What a career that this guy had. at Texas. FBS leading 91 forced missed tackles this past season at UT. Paris Johnson Jr., another really talented offensive lineman. I don't think he's going to go before Peter Skoronski, but a guy that might sneak in here to the top 10. And if your team is looking for a tight end, Michael Mayer needs to be the guy. He is by far the best tight end in this draft. 9 touchdown catches this season. I think he was probably already a lock to be a first-round pick coming into this year, but, man, he's got a chance to be a top 10, top 15 pick. And then Quentin Johnston, much like C.J. Stroud, Johnston waiting until deadline day to declare for the draft. He did that this morning. So arguably the best wide receiver in this class, Quentin Johnston of TCU, is now in the NFL draft. I think we're going to see a lot of coaching changes in the NFL. You're going to be looking for new hires. And let me tell you, if you're looking to make a new hire, you should be doing it through LinkedIn Talent Solutions, because these days, every single hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job using the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experiences so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. I've been at Chat Sports now for about a year. I found Chat Sports through LinkedIn and vice versa, and we've been able to grow our team through LinkedIn Talent Solutions. When I came on board here at Chat Sports, I was the 15th member of this team. Now we have over 20 people on the staff. We've expanded our office space. Thank you so much to LinkedIn Talent Solutions for helping us grow. Your small business can do the same. Go down and post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Moving on to QB3, that is Will Levis. I was a little bit surprised to see him come in 13th overall here, but then again, that was his previous rank on the big board. And it's looking like he's going to be the third quarterback taken behind Stroud and Young. Man, if he goes high as 13, I'd be a little bit surprised, though. But teams that need a quarterback that don't have a top 5 pick might give Will Levis a look. And then Jordan Addison, he just declared as well. The USC wide receiver also waiting right before the deadline to declare. Of course, transferring from Pitt, had a really good season at USC. 875 yards, 8 touchdowns this season for the Trojans. And then Joey Porter Jr., the corner from Penn State, talented defensive back in this class, finished the season with 11 pass breakups. Christian Gonzalez, the corner from Oregon, another corner to look for here that might sneak in to the top 15. Had a great career after transferring from Colorado. A lot of size, a lot of length, a lot of speed for Christian Gonzalez. But let's go back to Will Levis for a second. Who do you think is going to draft Will Levis? Go down in the comments section. Let me know who is going to draft Will Levis. This is one of the more polarizing prospects in this class. You know, I was pretty excited about Will Levis coming into this season. Now I kind of have mixed feelings about him. Definitely has the tools, but he was pretty inconsistent this past season at Kentucky. But again, he's got the tools to be a good NFL quarterback. Kelee Ringo's got all the tools to be a good defensive back at the next level. You're talking about one of the fastest players in this class. I'm excited to watch this guy at the Combine in a few weeks to see what he can do because he has blazing speed. It was a really good track star in high school. Antoine Harrison, another offensive tackle. He's coming from the University of Oklahoma. Powerful offensive lineman. It's probably going to be one of the 3 or 4 offensive linemen taken in this draft class. And then Cam Smith out of South Carolina. Very versatile defensive back. He declared for the draft a couple weeks ago, and he's expected to be potentially a top 20 pick. And then Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle from Georgia, coming in at number 20 here. Jackson Smith-Njigba coming in at number 21. I really like this guy. You can certainly make the argument that he could be the first wide receiver taken. I still expect that to be Quentin Johnston. He was limited this season with a hamstring injury and did not play in the college football playoff because of that injury. Sticking with the Big Ten here, Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end out of Iowa, 7-sack season in 2021, 6 sacks in 2022, so 13 sacks the last 2 seasons at Iowa for Van Ness. Another Bama guy, a lot of Bama guys on this board, Brian Branch, 89 tackles this season, and then his teammate Jahmyr Gibbs coming in at number 24 here. I could see Gibbs falling to the second round, but with Bijan Robinson potentially being a top 10, top 15 pick, maybe Gibbs will also be a first-round pick for teams that need a running back. But let's talk about Smith and Jigba. Do you think he's the best wide receiver in this class? When we're talking about just talent, you can certainly make the argument. Go down to the comment section. Let me know who is the best wide receiver in this draft class. Antonio Johnson is one of the best safeties in this class. He hails from Texas A&M. Drew Sanders, the linebacker from Arkansas, got a good shot to be a first-round pick. A very physical, hard-nosed linebacker, finishing the season with 111 tackles, including 16 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks for Drew Sanders. And then Jalen Duncan, another offensive tackle coming in here at number 27 out of Maryland. And then Osiris Torrance, the guard from Florida at number 28. At number 29 is Zach Harrison, defensive end out of Ohio State. Clark Phillips, number 30, the Utah product, the corner. He's also got a good chance, obviously, to be a first-round pick. Zay Flowers, I really like Zay Flowers, man. Maybe one of the more underrated players in this class, a guy that should be a first-round pick. And the number 32 is pretty interesting. Anthony Richardson, another polarizing prospect in this class. He's probably going to be a late first, early second-round pick, probably QB4. He has obviously a lot of talent. I think he probably should have stayed at Florida another year, but you can obviously understand why he declared. He might be a first-round pick. Who is the biggest snub from the big board? Who is not on the big board that should have been on the big board? Go down in the comments section and let me know. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to have you covered with all NFL offseason content, for agency rumors, draft content, and more.